let you know. This is always the most stressful part for me too, the anticipation.
Quick note, if you see us staff looking off to the side, it's because we now have 2 monitors. So we're not looking at something else going on. It's just.
Right. We are go.
Awesome. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Friday. This is Senator Katie Hester, and I am here with my co-chair, Delegate Michael Jackson, and we would like to welcome you to our final Cybersecurity, IT, and Biotechnology Committee meeting of the year. The focus today is to review various bills that have to do with the topics in the jurisdiction of the committee and vote on whether or not to have them be joint committee bills. I'd like to thank all the members for giving us their time today. I know we're all kind of zoomed out by the end of the week. So thank you all for being here. And I'd like to turn it over to my co-chair, Delegate Michael Jackson, for any opening remarks he'd like to make.
Thank you, Senator. And I'd like to echo you, thanking our members for taking out the time to be with us today. This has been a challenging interim for us. We're learning a lot. So we should have this virtual thing down by the time session starts. As you mentioned, today's our last session. And hopefully we can come to consensus on these pieces of legislation under our purview. So we can be have a team effort toward any legislation as the session opens. Again, this session is going to be completely new for us. So if we can kind of be coordinated on our end, that'll be terrific. So thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Jackson. At this point, I'd like to ask staff to just give us a brief kind of procedural overview of how the voting will work and the choices that we have as we review these bills.
Sure. So we have, many of you were asked if you were interested in bringing your bills to be evaluated and or possibly sponsored or co-sponsored by this committee or as members. So because there's like 3 buckets, and we'll make sure as you move along, Madam Chair, that the motions match with what we're looking at. Obviously, if you're presenting a bill that you've chosen to pre-file, no changes can be made at this time. So if the committee members wanted to sign on as co-sponsors, that would need to happen as an amendment during the hearing process. To the extent that your bills have not been pre-filed and have not been, finalized, then certainly the sponsor lines can change in any way that the committee votes that they want to do. But I think the idea is for each person to just describe their bill, if there's a discussion, and then take a vote, as well as if sponsors could maybe clarify what they're looking for the committee to do, if they want the committee to perhaps just be aware of the bill and get their support for session, or if it is indeed about getting the committee's sponsorship on the bill. Does that cover everything, Madam Chair?
Thank you. I think that was a really good overview. I just had one final point of clarification. We have some members who are not members of the committee. And it's my understanding that if they would wish their bill to be presented with their name on behalf of the committee, that is fine as well. I just wanted to clarify that.
That is possible, yes. Any sponsor can be named as, sponsored by, and then if it receives the full committee support, the bill would show up with then a parenthetical next to that sponsor's name saying on behalf of the joint committee. Most of the time it's the chairs of the joint committee that would be listed. So it would be, Senator Hester on behalf of the committee, but we can also just list any sponsor as the primary sponsor. Now, if it's something that, if it's like a pre-filed bill, then the amendment would list each of you separately, not as an on behalf of.
All right. And just for everybody's notice that I as a chair, and I'll let Delegate Jackson speak for himself, but I don't personally have a preference. So hypothetically, Delegate Krim, your bill could go forward as Delegate Krim, on the behalf of the committee. So,
I concur.
Thank you. Okay, so with that, I just wanted to give just a brief overview. I'll try to move us along as quickly as possible. I know we're losing some people at 3 o'clock, but we do have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, possibly 8 bills to quickly go through. And they fall broadly into the topics of cybersecurity, IT modernization, broadband, and the fourth category of miscellaneous. So with that, I'd just like to turn it over to Delegate Krim to present on LR 1564, State and Local Employee Cybersecurity Training.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Mr. Chair, and thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate having a little bit of your time today. I won't take up too long of a period of time because this is really a very simple bill. I know you've heard that before, but this really is simple. I'll tell you how I got here really fast on this bill. I started working very aggressively on telework, and I would take webinars, and when I would be in those webinars, it would always come back to cybersecurity. So if you're going to have a vigorous telework policy, you need to have your employees trained on cybersecurity. So with that, I started down the road of getting a bill together for training our employees on cybersecurity, which we don't have anything in statute right now. We do have a program through, I think, the personnel department, but it's very limited. I did get input from Chip Stewart at Department of Information Technology, and also from Greg Von Lehman of the Maryland Cybersecurity Council, who provided information to us as we were preparing this bill. So what this bill does is it does require training of our employees. It's my opinion. We are legislators. It is up to us to protect our computer infrastructure. And as we have seen recently, there are a lot of hacking going on, ransomware, etc. So we have to have our employees trained to recognize something that could be very harmful to our computer infrastructure. So what the bill calls for is the Cybersecurity Council would provide 20 programs online that could be used to train our employees. It'd be up to the agency to decide what program they would want their employees to follow. And of course, it would be an online training. So it's for all of our employees, state employees, judiciary, also local employees, local and state government employees, because they access state computers. So they need to have some training also in cybersecurity. And then the other one would be in the private sector, because the private sector also accesses state computers to bid on contracts, et cetera, RFPs, whatever. So that's what this bill will do, require cybersecurity training. Now, I've talked to Chip on a number of occasions over at Do It, and he said, you'll probably hear that nobody wants less cybersecurity. We need more cybersecurity, especially in this atmosphere we're in now. So I would appreciate your support. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer. I think I provided the LR to you.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd just like to make a comment. Thank you for bringing this legislation forward, Delegate Krim. And in my real world, real job, real life, we are required to have such training in the Prince George's County government, as well as the contractors that engage with our government. So I like the legislation. It's a long time coming. I guess the only question for you is whether you'd be interested in having this under Delegate Krim or could you say that again, Erica, how that would?
Because it's an LR, your choices are to have it be sponsored by Delegate Krim on behalf of the committee, or if she doesn't want to bring it in, she can just bring it in as Delegate Krim and get your guys just kind of verbal.
It's up to you, Delegate.
No, I would like you to say that it would have the support of the committee. I think you do good work. I think you have a good handle on what we need in the state. This is not pre-filed. I know the draft is ready, but it's not pre-filed. We didn't make that deadline. So I think Delegate Bartlett said she had a question, Mr. Chairman.
Delegate Bartlett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Delegate Krim. My question, I was just getting ready to type it. I am assuming that the language that says at least 20 programs, is that something that is just innate to this type of work? I don't quite understand. Are we talking 20 different programs or offering? I don't understand now.
That is language that came from the Cybersecurity Council. And it's meant to provide enough diversity to the different agencies and to the different government entities and private sector that will need to provide the training. So that's where that came from.
I got you. Okay. So that way it can be subject specific if needed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Do you see any hands, Senator?
I have a quick question. I don't know how to put my hand up. It's
Delegate
Delegate
Watson.
Watson. Yeah, just to follow back up. So the 20 programs are related to the various agencies who will have access to it, not the curriculum, right? There will be one set of curriculum offered to each of these 20 potential agencies.
I think that the purpose of the different training programs is to have employees and other entities that need to have this training recognize when there is an attack or the possibility of an attack on our infrastructure. And there's different ways to achieve that. And I think that's what the training programs are. But I can get you clarification on that. I'm sure if you're asking the question, Delegate Bartlett's asking the question, I think when I do the bill hearing, there will be questions on that from the committee members. So I should be prepared to be a little bit more specific on that. So thank you for the question.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Delegate.
and I'm thinking that, as Delegate Krim mentioned, I know in the past we've seen there's an a la carte selection for the agencies,
Yes.
but they would all have to meet the criteria
Right.
to fall under the security awareness training, annually
Yes.
for folks.
And I will say, Mr. Chairman, that I think we have to be very strict about this. That's why I want it in legislation. I don't want there to be a policy out there and do it that everybody needs. I want there to be a legislative, so everybody has to do this. It's our responsibility. This is the state infrastructure. So yes, I see another question.
What I will say, and I'm sure the senator will concur, if you had served on this committee, you know that we are like on this. We are
On it.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Do you see any other questions?
Yes, I saw one from Senator Sidner.
I just wanted to add something before you go to Senator Signor. Delegate Krim,
Yes.
in the state of Texas, they have done a similar legislation like that. If you want to show it can work, okay, you might want to present the bills that were passed in the Texas legislature by a member of their Texas House of Representatives.
Yes.
Because it's been effective in making sure that they're ready and that they're proactive, because a lot of times with cyber attacks, it happens because there's a lack of cyber hygiene, consistency, and also the inability of employees to understand, what they need to do. And it's all unintentional. I mean, they didn't mean for this to happen.
Right, right.
But the Texas legislation is pretty good. And it
Yes.
first states that did such a kind of similar training bill. And that,
Yes.
okay.
So-
Anyway, you and I can talk about that later. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you, Senator, this draft is modeled on the Texas legislation.
Okay, so you know what I'm
Yes.
talking about then.
So, and the reason it is because on a webinar, I took one of them, and when they were talking about cybersecurity training, and there were a number of people on from different states, and they were all referring the questions to the Texas person that was on the webinar.
Yeah, I've had conversations with the author of those bills. He
Yeah.
on top of it.
And you know, and she was just so knowledgeable on the training. And when I looked up the statute, I thought, well, this is pretty clear. You know,
Yeah.
that we could do this in Maryland.
Yeah, we could easily do this in Maryland, even make it better and
Yes.
customized and unique to our particular agencies
Mhm.
and particular needs. So
Yes.
I think
Right.
that is a good thing to do. But anyway, let's not take too much time out of this.
Okay, we have,
How about
thank
the
you.
Cybersecurity Council? There's a lot of expertise on there, so we could hash out everything prior to the sessions. Okay.
So what I'd like to
Okay.
suggest, go ahead, Delegate Jackson.
No, I was going to finish up the questions for this, and then we procedurally, Richard or Erica, you advise us what we needed. Well, I think we've already accepted the delegates' wish. Delegate Sidnor?
Thank you very much. Delegate Krim, just a quick question. Is there any consideration given to those companies that, those contractors, I think there is a section that talks about contractors.
Yes. Yes.
That already have protocols in place to have their employees go through this type of training?
I think there's language in here that they have to be certified by the state of Maryland's do it, or Cybersecurity Council. I don't know whether there's specific language about that, but I do know that amongst the 20 programs that are going to be available for them to use, there could be one that is exactly like the one they're using now. But anybody that has a touch to a Maryland computer is going to have some training on this. That's my position. So
Thank you.
Okay, and Delegate Bartlett, you wanted a second bite at the apple before we seek a motion.
Yes, it's a quick bite, and that is whether or not there was any thought to the report to Secretary of IT being an annual report. I see that there's a periodic audit, but I didn't know if there was going to be a time in the report.
yeah, is there any reporting to the budget committees? I'm not sure. We can add that. We can certainly add that there be certainly annual reporting. But I think there's going to be like a watchdog, you know, making sure that this is done. Because, you know, these people who work in IT, they want this. They don't want us to have a ransomware issue. They want this.
Right.
So
I got you. So
Yeah.
so let's do this. Let's call for a motion. Is there anyone of the members who'd like to make the motion to?
I move
Right.
to accept the.
Delegate Bartlett,
I'm
second.
sorry. Thank you,
Second.
Mr. Chair. I move to accept the legislation as provided with amendment, and to on behalf of the Joint Cybersecurity Committee, the full name.
Erica, you have that?
I have her as a first, and I think I saw Senator Lee for a second.
Thank you.
Somebody raised their hand for a second.
All right, that was Senator Lee.
Thank you. Now, if committee members for your voting, just because we're all new to this virtual voting, if you can unmute yourselves, I'm actually going to call roll. It's a little tedious, but it's better than otherwise. So Senator Hershey, We'll come back to you. Senator Lee,
Yes.
Senator Sidnor,
Yes.
Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Crosby,
Yes.
Delegate Feldmark,
Yes.
Delegate Watson.
Yes.
Back to Senator Hershey,
Yes.
and then Senator Hester
Yes.
and Delegate Jackson.
Yes, thank you.
I have the other 3 members as absent. Thank
All
you.
right, Senator Hester.
Okay.
Thank you very much,
Thank you, Delegate Krim.
Thank you very much.
At this point, I'd like to move on to our next bill presented by Senator Lee. And if we could all try to pick up a little bit of speed, I think we're going to have to maybe not answer all the questions on the committee call, but vote kind of in principle that we like the bill, and then we can always circulate final text afterwards. Senator Lee, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Senator Hester. This bill is a digital education vendors and tools reporting to the Maryland State Department of Education. This was a bill that was discussed by this Student Data Privacy Council, who have had meetings over the year dealing with student data, of course, privacy. And they thought that this would be best to address before your joint committee because it's slightly out of their own purview. But this is not a pre-filed bill. This bill would be filed under my name, Senator Lee. And of course, we'd like to, if the joint committee wanted to support it, that would be fine too. It's a simple reporting bill where the local school systems would have to report to the Maryland State Department of Education what contracts they have with digital educational vendors and what digital education tools that have been approved by each of the 24 jurisdictions in the state. The Maryland State Department of Education would be responsible for posting this information on an open website for parents, teachers, and administrators to review and potentially model best practices. The parents would be enabled, they would be able to make decisions and about at the local level through comparison with other jurisdictions. It's mainly a informational tool, and they thought that this would be a good way to. Oh, excuse me, someone. I have a judge calling me, so I gotta be respectful. I'm sorry, I didn't have that on mute. So we respectfully ask that you consider support of this bill. Thank you. Any questions, please? Okay, thank you. This is great. This is a simple reporting bill. Thank you. And I would entertain a motion to, by the Joint Committee, support the bill.
Thank you, Senator Lee. Is there a motion? So maybe just to clarify, so Senator Lee, would you like this to be sponsored by Senator Hester? Sorry, Senator Lee on behalf of the Joint Committee? I'll make that.
It could be that, or just Senator Lee. It doesn't matter, whatever you want. Yeah, it would be nice to have the committee behind it. Yes.
Okay, so the motion is to have this be a product of the committee. Senator Lee on behalf of the committee. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Delegate Jackson.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
All right, calling the roll. Senator Hershey.
Is it possible to ask a question just in terms of process? What is it that we're voting on? Is it the idea that since there's no bill, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think the thought in discussing with the chairs previously is the idea is you would be voting on general support of it, and then Senator Lee can, once the bill's drafted, share it with all of you guys kind of as a final checkpoint.
Okay, thank you.
So Senator Hershey? Senator Lee?
Yes.
Yes.
That was Senator Hershey saying yes, got him. Senator Sidner?
You're on mute.
Yes.
Okay. Delegate Bartlett?
Yes,
Delegate Crosby?
he had to step away.
Okay. Delegate Feldmark?
Yes.
Delegate Watson?
Yes.
Senator Hester?
Yes.
And Delegate Jackson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Well, I'll get back to you, give you updates on the bill. So we
Thank you, Senator.
input
very
in
much.
it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome. Senator Hester, while we're waiting on Senator Alford, you want to go ahead with your bills?
I would like to. Thank you very much. And Senator Alford just texted me and said her meeting's running a little bit late, but she'll be with us soon. So the first bill on cybersecurity that Delegate Jackson actually co-sponsored with me last year is LR 794. This is the MEMA Coordination Operations Office. This bill passed unanimously the Senate at the end of last session, but didn't have time to make it through the House. I guess we've pre-filed this legislation, so we're asking for individual sponsorships. What this bill does is it takes a disaster preparedness approach to cybersecurity attacks by asking for greater preparedness and coordination between the state and local emergency managers. So if you want to pull up the LR of the bill, you could, staff. But basically the main points, oops, I just lost my notes. Hold on a second. The main points of the legislation are this. It establishes the Cybersecurity Coordination Operations Office. And if you have ideas for a better name, let me know. The office is set up with the express purpose of improving local, regional, statewide cybersecurity readiness and response in consultation with the State Department of Information Technology and the state CISO. And the office is particularly responsible to assist in the development of cybersecurity disruption plans, implementing the Do It statewide cybersecurity master plan. The bill borrows from the regional approach that was taken for the opioid operational and coordination committee, charging the newly created CCOO with establishing regional assistance groups. And so in a similar means, this does not allow MEMA to contract or procure technical services to achieve this goal, but it does help to connect the resources at the state level through Do It to the locals on the ground. And the contracting and procurement provisions of this bill allow them to take advantage of all the resources in our region, not the least of which is our own Do It, and to coordinate the necessary services to jurisdictions, regions, and state agencies. So I'd be happy to answer questions, but once again, I'm basically at this point asking for your support as co-sponsors because the bill has been pre-filed.
If there's no questions, I'll make the motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Was that Delegate Watson that seconded?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, calling the roll, Senator Hershey,
Yes.
Senator Lee, I'll come back to her, Senator Sidner,
Yes.
Delegate Bartlett,
Yes,
Delegate Crosby, still absent, Delegate Feldmark,
Yes.
and Delegate Watson.
Yes.
Senator Lee, Senator Hester,
Yes.
and
Senator-
Delegate Jackson.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Senator Lee just got back into the room.
Oh, okay.
Which bill are we voting on now? Which one is that now? be on right now? I'm sorry I had to leave for a little while, and I have to probably leave again. Which bill is this?
Senator Lee, we're talking about the bill that Delegate Jackson and I have pre-filed.
Is this the emergency management bill, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yes, I support it. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Sorry I had to leave. Okay.
No problem.
Okay, thanks. Yes to this.
Okay, thank you.
Delegate Jackson, I don't see Senator Elfreth left yet.
Yeah, so let's just continue to do yours, and then we'll, if she's not on, then we'll figure out what to do.
Okay. Let me go down to LR 1530. This is the cyber safety guidebook, and this has not been pre-filed. So in broad tones, what this bill does is it provides a resource for parents, teachers, and students in terms of cyber hygiene, cyberbullying, et cetera. It requires that MSDE create a companion course that local school jurisdictions could use to teach students, parents, and teachers the best practices for cyber security, cyber safety. And it can be an addendum for a health course, but it's not required. This bill was initially introduced last year in a slightly different form. It had no fiscal note and it passed the Senate unanimously. And I just like to point out, I think it's incredibly important at this point in time. Across the state, we now have our children, our students are consistently online. And I feel, while I try to provide the best for my kids, that some standardization in what they are expected to know about safety online is really important. Just last week in Howard County, the police department had to put out a warning to parents across my district, urging them to monitor their children's activity in response to a number of reports of extortion cases involving minors. Specifically, the bill first requires MSDE and the Behavioral Health Administration and the Maryland Center for School Safety to jointly develop a cyber safety guide and training course that can be implemented in public schools beginning in the 22-23 school year. The cyber safety guide is a continuation of last year's legislation. I already said that, sorry. At the same time, it would, the legislation would require that there be resources developed in consultation with professionals who specialize in child development and child psychology that include information on best practices on managing and preventing a series of potentially malicious activities on the internet. The safety course that accompanies the guide would be available for self-guided completion. So nobody actually has to teach it. You can take it online. And it is not a mandatory option. However, it could be available for health teachers or computer science teachers around the state who may be wanting to offer the course as an extra credit assignment. It's obviously going to have a fiscal note this year, but not a very large one. But I think with good reasons, it will assist our constituents and protect our kids across the state of Maryland. So I guess I am asking Delegate Jackson, oh, I'm hearing it was pre-filed. So it was pre-filed. So I guess I am asking for co-sponsors then. The support of the committee as co-sponsors, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Seeing no questions, I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Senator Hershey?
Yes.
Senator Lee? Senator Sidnor?
This type of legislation might be timely for my county, so yes.
Delegate Bartlett?
Yes.
Delegate Crosby? Still absent. Okay. Delegate Feldmark?
Yes.
Delegate Watson?
Yes.
Senator Hester?
Yes.
Delegate Jackson.
Yes, and just to add, last week I did the Educate at 8 podcast representing our committee, and the educators are anxiously awaiting something like this. So, yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your support. I appreciate it very much. Is Senator Elfreth with us, or shall we go to?
Let's keep rolling.
Keep rolling. Okay. Let's see. So I have another bill, which I have been working on with Delegate Jackson and staff. This is LR 1681, and this aims to address some of the issues with modernization that we've been talking about. So, I guess as context, I would say that what we've seen this year, what happens in terms of an IT deficit, and what happens, especially with the Department of Labor, when you get to an external point of stress on a system, on the unemployment insurance system in particular, and what can happen when we're in the midst of upgrading, or we've got really, really old legacy IT systems. In the several modernization hearings that we've had this year, our private sector participants have repeatedly raised the point that these projects, modernization projects, when done well, can save us money over time and realize the benefits for our constituents very quickly. However, we have not been able to get a really firm grasp on the status of modernization across the state of Maryland from all of our agencies. And so what this bill would do is require that each agency generate and report on a number of IT related categories for their agencies. This would include the number of vacant IT positions, a breakdown of the agency's use of the IT budget, an update on their major IT modernization initiatives, an update on their cybersecurity initiatives, and the unit or agency's plan to implement their IT goals. These reports would then be transmitted to DoIT, who would compile and analyze the information and send that along to the General Assembly for our knowledge. There's two other components that I'd like to add. The first being a requirement that the agencies utilize DHS services to do some initial cybersecurity testing, and this is available to states for free. And we talked about this at the last meeting. So I guess that is that is how the bill stands now. We've also talked about, we spent a lot of time talking this year around the need to finance these modernization projects. And, we looked at Massachusetts, and they've done some bond initiatives. We've looked at other states. And what I think it might be time for, which is not yet in the bill, but I'm working on adding to it, is to consider creating some kind of oversight or guidance body as other states have done. For example, North Carolina created their Information Technology Strategy Board. In Montana, they've had an Information Technology Board since 2001. So I really think that while as a body we can talk about modernization, we actually need to have a formal specific forum for talking about how we as a state finance these modernization projects and come to grips with it, across all the agencies, so that we are, having a strategic approach across the state to IT investment. So that is an overview of the bill as it stands, which is currently a reporting bill. I am working on adding to it so that we could add in some kind of governing body. And I think what I'm asking for at this point, happy to answer questions, but I think the ask is to, vote on the idea in principle, and then I will circulate the final language once I have it. So happy to answer questions.
Do we have any questions? All right. Doug Watson.
Yeah, one quick question. So as we vote to move these forward for additional consideration, will the committee have another vote once the legislation is finalized?
Erica, would you be willing to answer that for us?
Sure. Procedurally, it's really not necessary because I think you're taking the concept vote now that you're going to circulate it, you'll look at it. If there's significant discussion that needs to occur, I think we can revisit that question at the time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Doesn't look like any. I'll make the motion.
I will second it.
All righty, Senator Hershey? Senator Lee? Senator Sidnor?
Yes.
Delegate Bartlett?
Yes.
Delegate Crosby? Delegate Feldmark?
Yes.
Delegate Watson?
Yes.
Senator Rosa Pepp, I see you have joined.
Yes.
Okay. Senator Lee and Senator Hershey? Okay. Senator Hester
Yes.
and Delegate Jackson?
Yes. Welcome, Senator Rhodes Pep.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So procedurally, I have a question, Erica. I think we're at the last bill, correct? For Senator Hester?
Or
What I knew about in advance, it's the last bills. Well, no, there might be one other.
yeah, we have Senator Hester has a building out broadband proposal.
No. What I said, I thought I said was, okay, so we're on the last bill for Senator Hester. Should Senator Alford not, if she's not on when we conclude this last bill,
That would be it.
that will be it?
Yeah.
Do we have, okay.
Let me text her. And then I could do my broadband bill and then she could do hers. And I was also unclear as to whether Delegate Feldmark wanted to talk about the right to repair bill.
I was not planning to because I had pre-filed it. I didn't realize that this was an option for bills that were pre-filed. I mean, I can speak to it briefly if you'd like. I thought I didn't realize for pre-filed bills that we could still add, by amendment, I guess.
Yeah, that's the process. If it's pre-filed, then you could, come to the hearing with an amendment with the committee members' names on it to show support at the hearing.
Okay.
I mean, I'd be happy to hear about it. I mean, I'm a fan of the bill.
So would I.
Sure. I mean, I can speak to it. Do you want to cover your last bill and then I can speak to it if Senator Elfreth hasn't joined us yet?
Sure.
How about Delegate Feldmark, if you could discuss your bill while Senator Hester tries to reach Senator.
Sure. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Sure. So just very briefly, and I apologize, you don't have copies in front of you, but so the right to repair legislation is really looking at any manufacturer to provide the information needed for repair and maintenance of a product to independent repair shops. So this is, the biggest area where we've heard about this is in, personal electronic devices, whether it's your cell phone or your Fitbit or whatever, there are independent repair shops who can provide repairs, but manufacturers control who can repair it and actually have, code provisions that if someone other than the manufacturer or their authorized repair person does it, then it actually shuts down, right? So this is a problem that folks have with iPhones where they can have the battery replaced or some other repair done, but without Apple's sort of secret code to sign off on the repair, then it won't function again, right? So it's making those items available, whether it's, an just information on the repair, or a particular device to allow the device to function after the repair. Make those available at reasonable cost for independent repair of devices. So, and it's not just your iPhone or iPad, right? There are appliances that have computer controls. Farm machinery and tractors is another area where we've seen a lot of concerns about this, where, a farmer is in the field and a machine breaks down, they don't have the ability to repair it or get a local repair person to repair that without it actually being the manufacturer sending the repair person, which can cause, inordinate delays. Unfortunately, it also applies to some medical equipment. And this was sort of new information that came out in the pandemic, that there are times when hospitals have equipment that could be used if it were repaired, and there's a delay in getting repair because they are limited in who specifically can repair it. So I can send the bill if that would be helpful. But
Delegate, if you know the LR number, I can pull it up real quick and
let me pull it up for you.
okay.
And while you're doing that, welcome, Senator Alfred. You're up next.
Mr. Chairman, while we're pulling it up, I realize it comes with ill grace having come late to the meeting. Just responding to Delegate Feldmark's bill, I mean, unless somebody has a really good reason we shouldn't endorse it, it seems like a no-brainer to me. I mean, in the practical value of it, it's obviously a restraint of trade and bad for the competitive economic system we have in this country.
It is
something
LR.
else that she didn't mention, because I remember watching something, I think it was on 60 Minutes. It talked about our ability to repair our own machinery would kind of cut down on a lot of the waste that's going into
Absolutely
the environmental impact. So
Absolutely.
So just real quickly, it's LR 1380 1380.
It certainly meets the scope of our committee.
Right. So it is both sort of a consumer rights issue. It is certainly an environmental issue in terms of e-waste and the number of products that are disposed and replaced when they could be repaired. I think momentarily we'll see the bill.
I also think Senator Rosebeth, was that a motion?
It's a motion to support the bill. Yes, sir.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Erica?
Okay. Senator Hershey?
Yes.
Thank you. Senator Lee, I believe, is still out. Senator Rosapup?
Yes.
Senator Sidnor?
yes.
Delegate Bartlett?
Yes.
Delegate Crosby, is he back in the room? Delegate Feldmark?
Yes.
Delegate Watson?
Yes.
Senator Hester? Delegate Jackson?
Yes.
Senator Hester, I didn't hear your response.
Yes, I'm sorry, I was muted.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Senator Hester?
Thank you. And thank you for bringing this very important bill forward, Delegate Feldmark. So I guess we will go on to two bills on broadband. The first being presented by Senator Sarah Elfreth. And Sarah, just so that you're clear, what we are voting on today is whether this becomes a committee product. So it would be Senator Sarah Elfreth on behalf of the Joint Committee on Cyber, IT, and Biotech, if you so wish. You can also choose to just have us all as co-sponsors.
Unless the bill is pre-filed, in which case then it's, they would come on individually as an amendment.
So I'll turn it over to you, Sarah. I think you're still on mute.
Great. Thank you so much, Senator Hester. And Erica, yes, the bill was pre-filed,
Okay.
but we would, both in the House and the Senate, but we would absolutely love your individual support as well as kind of a collective that this is a priority for this joint committee. So I believe you have the bill. I'm not sure if you can put it up or not. I can run through. It's a 9-page bill. It's a little on the longer side, but I'll just start by saying this joint committee knows better than anyone that broadband and connectivity is no longer a luxury item. It is a utility, especially not just for education purposes, and not just for economic purposes, not just for medical purposes of telehealth. I mean, culturally, it is a utility, and we need to think strategically about investing in making sure everybody in our communities are connected. I represent a district that has very urban components of the city of Annapolis, suburban components, and then very rural components in Southern Anne Arundel County. And each of those communities experiences different challenges in connectivity, but universally, we've seen over the last 9 months how essential connectivity is. So what we are proposing, this is Delegate Learman in my bill, is to elevate this issue at a state level. 33 other states have a statewide office on connectivity or broadband. We have the Governor's Office of Rural Broadband, which has done incredible work. I know in many of the communities of folks on this call, Senator Hester, Senator Hershey, a lot of good work, but it is not in our code. And it's very focused on rural broadband when we know we all have similar challenges in urban and suburban communities as well. So what we're attempting to do here is a couple of things. So we're going to create the Office of Digital Connectivity within the Department of Housing and Community Development. The director would report directly both to the Secretary of DHCD and the Governor. We believe this is at the level of reporting directly to the Governor on this issue. Our first step would be to create the office and launch a statewide top-down audit on availability, reliability, and affordability of internet services across the state of Maryland. We then use this information to create a public map of the work we have ahead while analyzing internet service prices across the state. With us in this effort, of course, will be our municipalities and counties. They're essential partners here. Looking how, the challenges first before we can come up with solutions. We feel like we need to be intentional about this, and we need the data to make informed decisions. Each of us has heard the horror stories in our districts from constituents. We know anecdotally that this is a problem. Before we can assign solutions, we need to know the extent of that problem. So that's why we're starting with this audit first, mapping, and then being solutions oriented. The last piece would be to coordinate the resources needed to close the digital divide in each of these communities. Really, our goal is to set ourselves up for the influx of federal funding that we know is coming. There was a great article in the Washington Post yesterday about this being a priority for the president-elect and many members of Congress. They're talking about $20 billion across the states in the first 100 days. But we really don't have a plan beyond the plan we have for rural broadband, which is great and needed, but we also have all these other connectivity issues in urban and suburban communities. So the goal here is to set ourselves up to be able to purposefully take in that federal money and deploy it strategically across the state. So that's my pitch. I hope folks will consider supporting this bill. Senator Hester is a co-sponsor of the bill. I'm not sure on the House side, that's been Delegate Learman's work. But this is, I think, a measured and reasonable and thoughtful data-driven approach to this problem. Happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any questions? If not, do we have a motion?
I move we endorse it.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second. All right, Ms. Erica?
All righty. Senator Hershey?
Yes.
Senator Lee, I believe, is still out. Senator Rosapup?
Yes.
Senator Sidnor, I received a little message he had to leave, but that he was a yes. Delegate Bartlett?
Yes.
Delegate Crosby,
Yes.
Delegate Feldmark,
Yes.
Delegate Watson,
Yes.
Senator Hester,
Yes.
Delegate Jackson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator, your last bill?
Thank you, Delegate Jackson. Okay, so my last bill also deals with broadband. And Senator Elfreth, you are welcome to stay or go, but thank you so much for bringing a very important bill forward.
I wish I could stay, but I have a 3 o'clock, so I apologize. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
So, okay, so at this point, we do not yet have an LR. This is a bill that I'm putting forward on behalf of MACO. And I believe we have a representative from MACO on the line. It's called the Building Out Broadband Act of 2021. So the first part of the bill is a dig once law. This policy has been implemented in a number of states, including California, Colorado, Minnesota, Nevada, and Texas. So this charges MDOT or another agency with maintaining a list of broadband providers who are interested in the Dig Once program. And then every time MDOT plans on creating a trenching project, that would also allow them to place a broadband conduit, essentially an empty pipe that you can run broadband through. They would provide notice to all of those folks on the Dig Once list to allow them to piggyback on the project. This should bring down the cost of broadband because broadband providers won't have to dig up the road multiple times, and instead they just coordinate with the state to lay down the infrastructure. Personally, I think our constituents would also appreciate this coordination because it means that we're not constantly opening and closing roads to do multiple projects where we could have just coordinated up front. Furthermore, it's also my understanding that laying down of these lines in a more efficient way will bring more revenue to the localities because they can charge a certain franchise fee that is tied to how many viable broadband lines are being used. The second part of this bill, which is still in the work, is a digital inclusion fund. It's intended to work with the Dig Once policy to create a fund that can be used to support other less financially viable broadband projects. The current concept is modeled after San Jose and multiple other states that have similar funds, although with various funding streams. So the second part of this bill around the digital inclusion fund is still in the works, but in the spirit of collaboration, I wanted to mention it to this group. And I think that this is a policy that other states are contemplating and is something that still requires more work over the next few weeks, but it's work that we certainly have to get done. And with that, I would answer any questions and also ask that if they're super technical that we have our MACO representative help to answer them.
This is Jim Rosepep. It's not a question, it's just a comment. It's my understanding that the Dig One concept is an integral part of the Biden broadband plan. So it fits right in.
Thank you, Senator.
Can I ask a quick question, please? Does this only apply to state roads, or would there be a similar provision for county road construction projects?
Mako.
Currently, we have it in our draft language as state roads.
Why?
Is there, would you object to including county roads?
I would love to bring this back to MACO. It's definitely a conversation that I'm open to having. We just didn't include it in the original draft language.
I mean, I understand that there may be a little bit of a resistance to a mandate on county governments.
Of course, but we're all trying to get to the same goal.
But realistically, we can't build out only on state roads, right?
Yep.
I mean, we need to get to users who are on local roads. So I think it's a worthwhile conversation.
Thank you, Delegate. I definitely agree.
And on that note, if Richard, I guess if MACO is going to be checking their, with their group, MML as well.
And I can definitely work with MML to get
Okay,
them
thank
involved
you.
as well, of course.
We appreciate that. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
So I think that the bill is still in drafting, so we could definitely keep working on this with MML and MACO and anybody else who wants to send us suggestions. So it would only be a vote in principle, I guess, at this point in time, until you've seen the actual language.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to accept this bill.
Second.
All right, welcome, Senator.
All righty. Senator Hershey.
Yes, we're agreeing in principle, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Yes.
Senator Jennings, I saw he has joined.
Yeah, give me 5.
Come back. Senator Jennings?
I'm here.
Okay. We were in the middle of a calling roll. I don't know if got in time to know the motion and the vote.
No, I didn't. I apologize. I got tied up at work.
Just vote yes, it's okay.
Senator Lee is, okay. Senator Rosappat.
Yes.
Senator Sidner had to leave. Delegate Bartlett.
Yes.
Delegate Crosby.
Yes.
Delegate Feldmark.
Yes.
Delegate Watson.
Yes.
Senator Hester.
Yes.
And Delegate Jackson.
Yes.
Okay, did I miss anyone? Delegate Jennings, I left you blank for now. Would you like me to record you in any way?
Pass right now until I find out exactly what it was we were voting on.
Okay, thank you. That's
Thanks.
everyone.
Senator Jennings, I'd be happy to call you immediately after this.
Perfect.
I guess that's a thank you then. Thank you very much to all the committee members for their support in principle. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Mako is nodding for those of you on the phone.
So I think we've gone through the 7 bills. Richard. So
Everything.
Delegate Jackson, I had one quick question, if it's okay.
Okay.
When we voted on Delegate Feldmark's right to repair bill, it only has a House bill right now. There is not a Senate cross file. So I would be happy to cross file it on behalf of the committee in the Senate, or defer to somebody else, anybody else who would like to cross file it. But I think it's such an important bill. We should have it moving in both houses. And I'm not
agree.
sure procedurally if, I guess I should ask with the Delegate Feldmark, is that okay with you?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, and then procedurally, Erica, would we have to vote again? Because Delegate Feldmark was pre-filed, and I guess if we have one in the Senate, it will not be pre-filed. So
Yeah, I mean, technically, let's go ahead and do that to cover our bases.
Okay, so I'd like to propose that we take the right to repair bill as a committee product in the Senate as well as the House. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, Senator Hershey.
I wasn't available for that part of the conversation, so can I just pass, please?
Yep. Senator Rosappat.
Yes.
Senator Delegate Bartlett. Delegate Bartlett. Delegate Crosby.
Yeah, I wasn't on either when this one was being deliberated.
Okay. Delegate Feldmark.
Yes.
Delegate Watson.
Yes.
Senator Hester.
Yes.
And Delegate Jackson.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that brings us to the end of our voting session. Thank you all very, very much. I think there's a few of these bills that we voted on in principle that you'll see drafts of at the end of this year, early next year. I'd like to thank you all for your very valuable time on a beautiful Friday afternoon. And if I don't talk to you before the holidays, have a good holiday and stay safe. Delegate Jackson?
I'd like to echo everyone staying safe and healthy. Thank you for your time. As you have undoubtedly noticed, we have a very, very broad title and scope. So we've tried to work this year. I think we've done a terrific job of narrowing that scope down to focus on issues at hand. But living in this virtual world, I'm sure that our work is only just beginning. So happy holidays to everyone. I certainly have enjoyed, this challenging committee. And I think we made some good partners out there this year. I think we've picked up some good partners. So thank you all again, and be safe and enjoy your families.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays, and thank you, staff.
Thank you very much, Erica.
Everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.